So, how does a nation that's smaller than New Jersey become such a major player on the world stage? Well, it's not just one thing. It's this powerful mix of, cutting-edge technology, really savvy diplomacy, and one of the most unique political alliances in modern history. Let's untangle this whole web of influence.
When you look at Israeli exports, you're going to see these two phrases pop up again and again: field-proven and battle-tested. I mean, they're fantastic marketing slogans, right? But what do they actually mean? Well, it's a brand. It's a promise that these weapons and these technologies aren't just some theory. No, they've been used in real, live combat situations.
So where does that branding come from? According to one of our sources, an Al Jazeera investigation, it all stems from a concept they call the Palestine Laboratory. The film argues that the Palestinian territories are, in effect, used as a real-world testing ground for brand-new weapons and surveillance systems, and that, in turn, creates this incredibly desirable product line for countries all over the world who are looking for the latest and greatest in security tech.
Okay, so let's really dig into this first piece of the puzzle: how this whole battle-tested brand became the engine of Israel's foreign policy and, frankly, a massive global business.
Israeli defense companies are not shy about this. They openly market their products this way, as being proven in combat. And this ecosystem, it runs deep. The source material points out that the famous military intelligence unit 8200 has basically become a state-funded tech incubator, spinning out all these surveillance startups that then go and commercialize these battlefield innovations.
All right, so now let's see how this brand actually builds into a really powerful diplomatic tool. Because this industry, it wasn't just built for profit. It was literally born out of necessity, and it's become a cornerstone of Israel's international relations.
It all kicked off back in 1967, right before the Six-Day War. Israel got hit with the French arms embargo and realized, whoa, we can't rely on other people. So it poured a ton of resources into building its own weapons industry. Fast forward to 2007, and this whole thing is formalized with a state export control law. And the result? By 2023, the SIPRI think tank ranks Israel as the 9th largest arms exporter on the entire planet.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Where do all these weapons go? Well, the data shows a huge focus on Asia. India alone accounts for a whopping 37% of Israeli defense exports in recent years. And this isn't just random. It's a whole series of really carefully cultivated strategic relationships. And every single one of these relationships serves a specific purpose. You've got India, the world's #1 weapons importer, trying to become a global power. Then there's Azerbaijan, a majority Shia nation right on Iran's border that's a crucial strategic partner and a major oil supplier. In Europe, sales are just booming. Germany just signed the largest arms deal in Israeli history for the Arrow 3 missile defense system. Finland bought the David Sling system right after it joined NATO. So you see, these aren't just sales, they are alliances forged in steel.
That defense industry is a powerhouse, no doubt. But it gets supercharged by one relationship that is truly unlike any other: the alliance with the United States.
According to a Harvard Kennedy School working paper, since World War II, the U.S. has given Israel over $140 billion in direct aid. And get this, that's measured in 2003 dollars. It is by far the largest recipient of American aid in the entire post-war era.
To put that staggering number into perspective for you, it breaks down to a direct subsidy of about $500 a year from the U.S. for every single man, woman, and child in Israel.
And the support isn't just financial, it's diplomatic muscle. Since 1982, the U.S. has used its veto power at the UN Security Council 32 times to block resolutions critical of Israel. 32 times. That is more vetoes than all the other Security Council members have cast combined.
And this slide really illustrates just how unique the terms of this aid are. First off, the payment schedule. Israel gets its entire multi-billion-dollar check on day 1 of the fiscal year. Everybody else, they get it in installments. Next, where the money is spent. Most countries have to spend it all in the U.S. Israel, though, can use about a quarter of it to subsidize its own defense industry. And finally, accountability. The Harvard paper points out it's the only recipient that doesn't actually have to account for how the money is spent.
So why, right? Why is this alliance so incredibly strong, so ironclad? Well, the source materials all point to the remarkable effectiveness of a domestic political force right inside the United States.
The Harvard paper defines this force as the Israel lobby. Now, it's really crucial to understand what the source means by this term. It's not some secret conspiracy. It's a loose,
It's open, and it's a very diverse coalition of groups and individuals. It includes secular Jewish American organizations and also, and this is so important, millions of Christian evangelicals.
You can think of this powerful coalition as standing on two main pillars. On one side, you've got advocacy organizations like AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and then on the other side, you have Christian Zionists, a powerful political and religious movement that sees the modern state of Israel as the literal fulfillment of biblical prophecy.
So what does the playbook for a group like AIPAC look like? Well, according to the Harvard paper, they're consistently ranked among the most influential lobbies in Washington. They direct campaign contributions to their allies. They fund the opponents of politicians who are seen as hostile to Israeli interests. They even help draft speeches and legislation for members of Congress, which makes them a go-to source of information for a lot of people on Capitol Hill.
But that second pillar, Christian Zionism, its influence is not a new thing at all. It has incredibly deep roots. The American Diplomacy Journal traces these beliefs back centuries. For this movement, the creation of Israel in 1948 and then its stunning victory in '67, these were seen as actual proof of prophecy. And by the 1980s, their leaders had direct access to the White House, cementing their political power for decades to come. This quote from former Senator Ernest Hollings, wow, it really captures the perception of this influence in Washington. It speaks to a political environment where, on this one particular issue, there's just very little room for debate.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. We have to understand how all these different forces, the battle-tested tech, the American alliance, and this powerful domestic lobby, how they all weave together to create this incredible global influence.
Let's just connect all the dots one last time. You start with a tangible product, world-class, battle-tested defense technology that other countries really want and need. That product then becomes a tool for building diplomatic and trade alliances all around the globe. This power is then massively amplified by the financial and diplomatic backing of the world's only superpower, the United States. And that American backing is held up by one of the most effective domestic political coalitions in U.S. history. See? Each part just reinforces the others.
And that leaves us with a final thought. Because this isn't just a story about one country. It's a case study in a whole new kind of power. So the real question to think about is this. When we look at the world today, how does this unique fusion of military technology, hard-nosed politics, and deeply held faith completely redefine what it means to be a global power in the 21st century?